महाराज की जय। समवेत गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे।
हरि
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 बोल।
बोल। All glories to assembled devotees.
हरे कृष्णा
All glories to assembled devotees.
हरे कृष्णा
All glories to assembled devotees.
हरे कृष्णा
All glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga.
हरि हरि
All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
हरि।
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय।
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय।
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय।
Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayet Nashtaprayeshva Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavatyuttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana-Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Namo Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंदा श्री अद्वैता गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा हरे कृष्णा कृष्णा
कृष्ण
कृष्णा हरे 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 राम राम राम
कृष्ण।
राम हरे हरे। Hare Krishna, dear devotees. I welcome you all to the Srimad Bhagavatam class at ISKCON Philadelphia. I wish you all a very happy Lord Nishingadev's appearance day, Sri Nishinga Chaturdasi. We can read one shloka from Srimad Bhagavatam and then we will try to meditate on the appearance of Sri Nishingadev. Let me share the screen. This is a prayer of Prahlad Maharaj to Lord Nishingadev. The verse is from the 5th canto, 18th chapter text. I don't know if there is a meter for this, so I will just read it. Om Namo Bhagavate Narasimhaya Namaste Jastejase Avirbhava Vajranakha Vajradamshtra Karmashayan Randhaya Tamo Grasa Grasa Om Swaha Abhayam Atmani Bhuyishtha Om Kshraum. Because of shortage of time, I will just read it. Translation. I offer my respectful obeisances unto Lord Narasimhadev, the source of all power. O my Lord, who possess nails and teeth just like thunderbolts, kindly vanquish our demon-like desires for fruitive activity in this material world. Please appear in our hearts and drive away our ignorance, so that by your mercy we may become fearless in the struggle for existence in this material world. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. In Srimad Bhagavatam, 4th canto, 22nd chapter, text 39, Sanat Kumar speaks the following words to Maharaj Prithu. Yad pada pankaja palasha vilasa bhaktya karmashayam grathitam udgrathayanti santaha tadvannarikta matayo yatayo piruddha sroto ganastam aranam bhaja vasudevam. Quote, Devotees always engaged in the service of the toes of the Lord's lotus feet can very easily become free from hard-knotted desires for fruitive activities. Because this is very difficult, the non-devotees, the jnanis and yogis, cannot stop the waves of sense gratification, although they try to do so. Therefore, you are advised to engage in the devotional service of Krishna, the son of Vasudeva. Unquote. Every living being within this material world has a strong desire to enjoy matter to his fullest satisfaction. For this purpose, the conditioned soul must accept one body after another, and thus his strongly fixed fruitive desires continue. One cannot stop the repetition of birth and death without being completely desireless. Therefore, Srila Rupa Goswami describes pure bhakti as follows. Anyabhilashita shunyam jnana karmadhyanavritam anukulyena krishnanu shilanam bhaktiruttama. One should render transcendental loving service to the Supreme Lord Krishna favorably and without desire for material profit or gain through fruitive activities or philosophical speculation. That is called pure devotional service. Unless one is completely freed of all material desires, which are caused by the dense darkness of ignorance, one cannot fully engage in the devotional service of the Lord. Therefore, we should always offer our prayers to Lord Narasimhadev, who killed Hiranyakashipu, the personification of material desire. Hiranya means gold, and Kashipu means a soft cushion or bed. Materialistic persons always desire to make the body comfortable, and for this they require huge amounts of gold. Thus, Hiranyakashipu was the perfect representative of materialistic life. He was therefore the cause of great disturbance to the topmost devotee Prahlad Maharaj until Lord Narasimhadev killed him. Any devotee aspiring to be free of material desires should offer his respectful prayers to Narasimhadev as Prahlad Maharaj did in this verse. So by discussing, hearing, chanting, and remembering the pastimes of the Supreme Lord, the contaminations in our hearts are destroyed. Even though I'm filled with I'm full of faults, still I'm making an endeavor. I only realized it when I ventured to speak on this topic, how difficult it is. But somehow I will try to do the best I can. Today is the appearance day of Narasimha Bhagwan. Actually, now in India, it is 5:35 dusk. Around this time, the Lord appeared. The background is like this. Hiranyakashipu and Hiranyaksha are two brothers. So we get this information from Srimad Bhagavatam, 3rd canto. chapters 14, 15, and 16. There we hear how Hiranyaksha was killed by Lord Varahadev. And then we also hear about the birth of Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakashipu because of Diti's desire to conceive at an inappropriate time. And because of this, she was told that her children would be great demons. So in this way, when Hiranyakashipu and Hiranyaksha took birth, their ignorance was spread throughout the universe, and there was darkness everywhere. And Hiranyaksha went to conquer all the planets. He went to Swarga. When the demigods found out that Hiranyaksha is coming to attack them, even without offering a fight, they just ran away from Swarga. They approached Brahmaji, and Brahmaji explained to them why Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakashipu took birth, how they were actually the eternal associates of the Supreme Lord in Vaikuntha. The reason for their appearing as demons in the material world is the Lord's desire. The Lord wanted to enjoy Virya Rasa. So the details of that are described in the chapters 14 to 16 in the third canto. We won't go into those details now. But once Kumaras visited Vaikuntha, because all this is happening according to the Lord's plan, and they were stopped by Jai Vijay, and being stopped, they cursed Jai Vijay to take birth as demons on the earth. So there we see Vidur asked Maitreya Muni, how was Hiranyaksha killed? So there also we see that Hiranyaksha had stolen the earth, kept her in the Rasatala, meaning in the Garbhodaka ocean, and Varahadev appeared. There was a fight, and Varahadev killed Hiranyaksha. His brother Hiranyakashipu, when he got this news that Hiranyaksha was killed by Lord Vishnu, he became very angry, and he wanted to take revenge. He wanted to kill Lord Vishnu. In order to do that, he went to perform tapasya. At that time, his wife Kayadu was pregnant. The demigods, they were Hiranyakashipu, when he was performing this severe tapasya, his body was eaten away by ants. He was just bones. But somehow he sustained his life air even in his bones. The demigods thought that Hiranyakashipu was dead. They thought that his sins had destroyed him. But when they realized that his wife was pregnant, they thought this must be another Hiranyakashipu. Hiranyakashipu and Hiranyaksha are dead, but Hiranyakashipu's son will be another Hiranyakashipu. So they wanted to kill that baby. They came and attacked the kingdom. of Hiranyakashipu when he was not there. And all the asuras, out of fear, left the place. They left their wives, their weapons, they just ran away. Now the demigods came and seized Kayadu. Indra's intention was, because she was a pregnant lady, they could not kill her. Actually, they couldn't kill a woman, but a pregnant lady, they cannot harm her in any way. So they would wait until she delivered the baby, and after the baby is delivered, then Indra would kill the baby. That was the plan. So he was taking Kayadu away when Narad Muni stopped him and said, this boy is sinless, the boy that is in Kayadu's womb. So of course, I'm making the story short because we have to cover a lot here. So I'm not explaining all the details. When Narad Muni understood Indra's understanding, Indra thought that Kayadu's child will be another Hiranyakashipu. So Narad Muni told Indra that no, this boy who is in the womb of Kayadu is sinless. He is a great Mahabhagavat devotee of the Lord. Besides, he cannot be killed by you. You should not kill him. That means you should not attempt to kill him because you cannot kill him. So please note this point that Narad Muni, a devotee of the Lord, said that Prahlad cannot be killed. So circumambulating Kayadu because the baby was a Mahabhagavat, the demigods left. Narad Muni brought Kayadu to his ashram and assured her that she could stay there until her husband returned after completing his tapasya. And there was no need for her to fear. Kayadu also, being in the association of a devotee, felt sheltered. She began to render service to Narad Muni. And Vaishnavas are very kind. Narad Muni began to instruct her in the science of bhakti. She listened to him, and along with her, the child in her womb also listened. Now, this is being narrated by Prahlad Maharaj, 5-year-old Prahlad Maharaj, to his classmates, the Asura's sons in Gurukula. He's telling this as a flashback. Because when Prahlad Maharaj taught them so many things about Krishna consciousness, they were amazed. How is it, Prahlad? You're only 5 years old, you're as old as us, and you have always been here in your father's kingdom. Where did you learn all this? So to explain to them where he learned, Prahlad Maharaj began to explain this. So he said how when his mother was being instructed by Narad Muni, Prahlad Maharaj also heard. However, Kayadu forgot in due course of time. Being a woman, and also with passage of time, she forgot. But Prahlad Maharaj didn't forget. Isn't that amazing? He's 5 years old. That means he heard 5 years ago, at least. But he remembered everything. But his mother, who's grown up, she didn't remember. What is the reason? The reason is Narad Muni's mercy. That means Narad Muni gave more mercy to Prahlad Maharaj. That is why Prahlad Maharaj was able to remember. A devotee is independent. It is not that a devotee gives same amount of mercy to everybody. The devotee can give more to one person and less to another person, and there is no fault on his part. He is independent. Then, meanwhile, Hiranyakashipu completed his austerities. Brahmaji appeared. And what benedictions did Hiranyakashipu get from Brahmaji? Actually, Hiranyakashipu wanted to be immortal. He wanted to ask Brahmaji to give him immortality. But then he thought, if he asked Brahmaji directly for immortality, Brahmaji might say, I myself am not immortal. After my 100 years, I have to give up this body. How can I give you immortality? So considering this, Hiranyakashipu decided to ask the same thing in an expanded way. So he said, I should not be killed by any creature, any living entity that is created by you, any species that is created by you. This whole universe is filled with different creatures, different living beings. They are all created by Brahmaji. All different forms of life are created by Brahmaji. So he thought, if I ask this, then I become immortal because nobody in this universe can kill me. But just to make it even stronger, to be doubly sure, he added some more. He said, I should not be killed inside or outside, neither on land nor in sky, not by any weapon. I should not be killed by any animal or human or any type of reptile. I should not be defeated in any battle. In this way, he asked a bunch of benedictions. In essence, he was saying he should not be killed by any creature that is created by Brahmaji. So Brahmaji said, so be it, Tathastu. He gave that benediction. And his body, which was completely eaten away by ants, that was also restored. In fact, he became even stronger by Brahmaji's mercy. And he returned home. And Prahlad Maharaj was already born by that time. So Kayadu and Prahlad Maharaj are also back now. Prahlad Maharaj had wonderful qualities. What are some of the qualities of Prahlad Maharaj? He is Brahmanya, meaning very respectful to the Brahmanas. Sheela Sampanna. He had all the good qualities. Generally, who has good qualities? The demigods have good qualities. He had all the good qualities. Sheela Sampanna. Satya Sandaha. He always spoke the truth. Jitendriyaha. His senses were always controlled. Atmavat Sarva Bhutanam Ekaha. He saw the pain of others as his own pain. Others' pain was seen as his pain. Pitravat Deenaha. Deena means those who are helpless those who are suffering. He was very merciful to them, the way a father is merciful to his son. Pitravat Dina. Bhratravat Sadrisha Snigdhaha. He is very affectionate, like a brother. Very friendly and affectionate, like a brother to everyone. And he was very respectful to the elders. Sukadeva Goswami goes on and finally says, how many qualities of Prahlad Maharaj can we count? It is not possible to count the innumerable transcendental qualities of Prahlad Maharaj. But he concludes in one quality, Naisargiki Ratihi. Naisargiki Ratihi. Rati means bhava. You know, in pure devotional service, we have three types: sadhana bhakti, bhava bhakti, and prema bhakti. When you do sadhana bhakti, then you get bhava bhakti. Prahlad Maharaj had bhava bhakti from his birth. How does he have that? By the mercy of Narad Muni. So it is possible to come to bhava bhakti directly without going through sadhana bhakti by the mercy of a devotee who has it. So Prahlad Maharaj was Naisargiki Ratihi, means he had this bhava, natural attraction for the Supreme Lord from his very birth. Now Hiranyakashipu put Prahlad Maharaj in a Gurukul, which was near his house. This Gurukul was run by Shukracharya's sons called Shanda and Amarta. What was Hiranyakashipu's intention? He wanted his son to learn Dandaniti. Dandaniti means punishment. You see, there are 4 types of education: Anvikshiki, Trayi, Varta, Dandaniti. Anvikshiki means spiritual education about the soul. This is for everyone, all classes of people. Trayi is meant for Brahmanas, rituals, worshipping activities like that. Varta is for the Vaishyas, agriculture, trade, for Vaishyas. Dandaniti is for Kshatriyas, how to punish. Hiranyakashipu wanted Prahlad Maharaj to learn Dandaniti because Asuras only want that. They want to learn how to punish and how to control. So he sent him to Gurukul. After a few days, the teachers brought him home, and Hiranyakashipu placed Prahlad Maharaj on his lap and asked, "My dear Prahlad, tell me, what is the best thing that you learned?" So Prahlad Maharaj said, "What?" So he said, "Tat sadhu manye." That means, what, in my opinion. In my opinion, what is the best knowledge? He said, "O best of the Asuras, all the people in this material world," that means whoever has a material body, has to give up his attachment for wife, children, house, family. This family life is like a dark well. Anyone who falls in this well simply meets with death. There is no escaping. Therefore, one should immediately leave such family life and go to the forest. and surrender to the Supreme Lord. Why he should go to the forest? Because leaving the family life is very important. Doing work is not important. The purpose of doing karma is to ultimately come to the point of giving up karma. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also explains this in Chaitanya Charitamrita to the Tattvavadi philosophers in Udupi. So Prahlad Maharaj told his father that one should give up family life and go to forest and worship the Lord. After hearing this, Hiranyakashipu was shocked. He looked at the teachers angrily. He was thinking, Brahmanas are generally obedient to Lord Vishnu. They side with Lord Vishnu. So this Shanda and Amarka are also Brahmanas. Maybe they taught Prahlad to take the side of Vishnu. He asked them who spoiled his intelligence. So Shanda and Amarka just brought Prahlad Maharaj back to Gurukul and asked him very nicely, my dear Prahlad, please tell us who taught you all this? We didn't teach you. Please don't lie. Tell us the truth. How did you get this type of mentality, reverse mentality? Because your father is the supreme personality of Godhead. By the way, this is how Hiranyakashipu preached. He actually stopped all sacrifices, all dharmas, Vedic dharmas that were observed in society, he had them stopped. He closed all the temples and he said that now onwards everybody should worship him and they should give all offerings to him. He is the Supreme Lord. So now the teachers are also telling Prahlad, because this is the standard now in Hiranyakashipu's kingdom. How is it that Prahlad is worshipping Lord Vishnu? So they said, your father is the supreme personality of Godhead. He is the controller of the 3 planets. He is the master who maintains everyone. You should also learn this. But you are saying Vishnu is the supreme personality of Godhead? Where did you get this knowledge? How did you get this type of mentality? Prahlad Maharaj didn't reveal how he got this knowledge, but he didn't change either. He carried on with the teachings of Narad Muni in his heart. And he didn't accept the teachings of his teachers at all. On top of this, he also taught the same teachings which were taught by Narad Muni. He started teaching them to his classmates. In this way, some time passed. Then one day, once again, Hiranyakashipu called for Prahlad Maharaj. At that time, he was not Prahlad Maharaj, he was Prahlad, 5-year-old Prahlad. And very affectionately, he placed Prahlad on his lap and he said, Tata. Tata means my dear father. That means very affectionately, a younger one is called like that. So, oh my dear one, please tell me, from whatever you have learned from your teachers, what is the best thing? He was expecting that after this time, must have changed. So this time Prahlad Maharaj said that, Hiranyakashipu had asked him about whatever you learned from your teachers. Narad Muni is also Prahlad Maharaj's teacher. He learned from Narad Muni. So what is the best thing that he learned? He said, Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnoho, Smaranam Padasevanam, Archanam Vandanam Dasyam Sakyam Atmanivedanam. So these 9 angas, limbs of devotional service, I consider to be the best. Tanmanye Dhitam Uttamam. In other words, engaging in direct devotional service to the Supreme Lord without expecting any results, not expecting any material result or expecting liberation, and performing only for the pleasure of the Lord. Again and again. This is the best thing among all the teachings in scriptures. When Hiranyakashipu heard this, he got so angry. He looked at the teachers very angrily. Why is Prahlad still taking the side of Vishnu and glorifying Vishnu in front of me? Chanda and Amarka got scared and immediately said, we didn't teach him all this, nor did any other teachers teach him. Whatever your child is speaking is not taught by us nor by any other teachers. Naisargiki matihi. He has a natural attraction towards Lord Vishnu. When he started this and how he has it, we don't know. But he has it from birth. So they said the same thing, that Prahlad Maharaj is a Kripa Siddha. He got mercy from Narad Muni. So therefore, from birth, he was a pure devotee. And even though Hiranyakashipu was angry, Prahlad Maharaj was not afraid. Now, Hiranyakashipu began to speak to Prahlad. He said, hey Prahlad, do you know who is this Vishnu? He killed your uncle, my brother Hiranyaksha. This Vishnu is a Mayavi, a cunning person. And you are worshipping him? You took shelter at his lotus feet? Because of this, you are not right. You're not, whatever you're doing is not at all correct. And being angry, he ordered his servants to kill Prahlad Maharaj. And the order carriers of Hiranyakashipu, they made several attempts to kill Prahlad Maharaj by putting him in a pit of venomous snakes, by attempting to trample him under the elephant's legs, feet. They tried to throw him off of mountain cliffs. And many other such attempts were made. But they were not successful. Prahlad Maharaj was completely protected by the Lord. When Hiranyakashipu saw this, he got a thought in his mind. He was thinking, oh my God, this boy cannot be killed by me. It has become very difficult now. He doesn't have any fear. Even though I was giving him so many punishments, he didn't fear. I think he's immortal. I think it is very dangerous to have an enemy, to have enmity with him. And because I have enmity with him, I think in future he's going to be the cause of my death. While Hiranyakashipu was thinking like this, maybe he was thinking aloud, because Shanda and Amarka could understand. And they pacified Hiranyakashipu. Don't worry. Please give us another chance. He's just a small boy. We will rectify the situation. Once again, they tried to teach Prahlad Maharaj about Dharma, Artha, Kama, Trivarga. But when Prahlad Maharaj came back to the Gurukul, he only increased his devotional activities. And he started teaching the other Asura boys, Asura Balaka. And the boys learned from Prahlad whatever he taught. They gave up whatever was taught by their teacher Shanda and Amarka and began to follow Prahlad Maharaj's teachings. And this was the greatest disaster in the Gurukul. Shanda and Amarka saw that all the boys were fully focused on worshipping Lord Vishnu. Their intelligence was fixed in pure devotion. By seeing this, they became fearful. Shanda and Amarka became fearful. They thought this was the greatest danger for Hiranyakashipu. Immediately, they went to Hiranyakashipu to inform him. Prahlad was already given 3 chances and he didn't change. Rather, he started changing all his classmates. By hearing this, Hiranyakashipu got very angry. Now he decided to kill Prahlad Maharaj. He started speaking very abusive, harsh words to Prahlad Maharaj. And while speaking, his anger was visible in his face. He would, look at Prahlad with side glances. And all the while, Prahlad was standing in front of his father very peacefully, with fully controlled senses, not showing any signs of fear, and with folded palms, while Hiranyakashipu was hissing like a snake with long breaths. Prahlad Maharaj was able to remain peaceful because of his surrender to the Supreme Lord. He was fully dependent on the Lord. Now Hiranyakashipu in anger began to call Prahlad Maharaj many bad words. He said, "Hey Durvinita." Durvinita means one with bad intelligence. Mandatman, Manda Atma. That means dull-headed. Kulabheda Kara Adhama. That means the worst fellow in the whole dynasty. Like you say, the black sheep of the family. Stabdam, one who has no respect. But you see, Prahlad Maharaj is a great Vaishnava. And even though Hiranyakashipu, his intention was to blaspheme Prahlad, a Vaishnava cannot be blasphemed. So Goddess Saraswati, so all words are coming from her. So she gives a different meaning to the words of Hiranyakashipu. Even though he is actually blaspheming, those words mean glorification of Prahlad Maharaj. So Durvinita means one who has mercy toward even wicked people. Why? Because Vaishnavas, because of their love for the Supreme Lord, their hearts are very soft and they cannot tolerate to see the suffering of others. And they themselves are very tolerant. So even when wicked people blaspheme them, they're very tolerant and they show mercy to them. So when Hiranyakashipu said Durvinita means you are merciful even to the wicked people. Mandatman. Mandatman means, now Goddess Saraswati is meaning, one who is dear even to the dull-headed. So the other classmates, Asura's children in the Gurukula, they all loved Prahlad Maharaj. That means he's dear even to the dull-headed. Like this. There are other words. We won't go into the details because of shortage of time. But the point is, Prahlad Maharaj is glorified. Even though Hiranyakashipu was blaspheming, those were actually glorifications. Goddess Saraswati explains them as glorifications. After hearing all the blasphemous chastisement of Hiranyakashipu, now Prahlad Maharaj began to speak. See, Prahlad Maharaj is a devotee. He looks at everyone as a Vaishnava would look at people, with compassion. So very kindly, with compassion, he is giving good instructions to his father. He's saying, Lord Vishnu is not just for me. That means he's not just my protector, but he's also for you. He's not the source of strength only for me. He's also the source of your strength. He is the supreme strength. All living entities, including Brahma, are under his control. He is the strength of everyone. Lord Vishnu is creating, maintaining, and annihilating this whole universe. He is time. He is the supreme controller. And he has many potencies. You should give up this enmity for Lord Vishnu. You should give up this demonic mentality. Please be equal to everyone. Then you will have no enemies. Because Hiranyakashipu is seeing Lord Vishnu as his enemy. Why? Because Lord Vishnu killed his brother Hiranyaksha. So Prahlad Maharaj is instructing, he is not your enemy. He is nobody's enemy. Give up your enmity. How can you give up your enmity? When you start seeing everyone equally, then only you will be able to give up enmity. You will have no enemies. The only reason that we have enemies is because we don't see everyone with an equal vision. Prahlad Maharaj is saying. So now Hiranyakashipu said, how can one be equal even to the enemies? It is impossible to be equal to your friends and enemies. Hiranyakashipu is asking. So Prahlad Maharaj said, our real enemy is our uncontrolled mind. And because of this uncontrolled mind, we make other enemies. In reality, there is only one enemy, that is our uncontrolled mind. Oh, my dear father, that's why make your mind equipoised toward everyone. By controlling your mind, you will not have any enemies. Don't have enmity toward Lord Vishnu. This is not good for you. Then one more jewel-like instruction from Prahlad Maharaj. If one has not conquered his 6 enemies within himself, what are the 6 enemies? Lust, anger, greed, illusion, madness, envy, kama, krodha, lobha, moha, mada, matsarya. Without conquering these enemies within, if you are thinking that you have conquered the 10 directions, you are in ignorance. You are not actually a conqueror if you have not conquered these 6 enemies within you. If you conquer these 6 enemies and control your mind, then you will not have any enemies. You see, Hiranyakashipu did such severe austerities. By doing these severe austerities, what happened? He got opulence. By that opulence, he got pride. Because of that pride, he started torturing everyone all over the universe. But according to Prahlad Maharaj's advice, if one does bhakti, then the heart will be softened by bhakti. Then he will have compassion for everyone. He will not torture anyone. He will not treat anyone as an enemy. In fact, he will tolerate even when someone is blaspheming him, he'll be able to tolerate. When Hiranyakashipu heard Prahlad Maharaj telling him that he should control his 6 enemies, he lost it. He could not take it anymore. He said, Are Vachala? Vachala means you talkative one. You think you are the devotee of Hari and you are able to control your 6 enemies. Your father is not able to conquer these 6 enemies. Vachala, you talkative one. Now he was getting all these emotions, angry. He said, Mandatman. Mandatman means one whose intelligence is very poor. Why he's saying Prahlad Maharaj's intelligence is poor? Because he says, you are ignorant. I am the Supreme Personality of Godhead, controller of the 3 worlds. Is there anyone like me? And you don't understand that. So your intelligence is very poor. You don't have good intelligence. You are not seeing me. And then he said, Manda Bhagya, you unfortunate one. I am the proprietor of the 3 worlds. I have all this wealth with me. And since you are my son, after me you will get all this. But you are not accepting me as the Jagatpati, the Supreme Lord, your master. So you will not get this wealth. And you will be killed by me. You left this fortune. Therefore, you are an unfortunate person. Then he said, tell me, Prahlad, you are so confident of your Vishnu. Where is your Vishnu? Show me. So Prahlad Maharaj said, Vishnu. Vishnu is everywhere. So Hiranyakashipu said, if he is everywhere, is he also in this pillar? Prahlad Maharaj said, yes. He can be seen in this pillar. He can show himself to you also. Hiranyakashipu said, but nobody is here. I'm not seeing anyone. And he got very angry. And he said, I will cut off your head from your body. Then let your Vishnu come to save you. Since you're always desiring his shelter, when he comes, then you can take his shelter. So the thing is, Hiranyakashipu's plan is, he wanted to see Lord Vishnu. He wanted Lord Vishnu to come so that he can kill him. So again and again, he was showing his anger and using abusive words for Prahlad Maharaj, taking his sword out. He said, if your Vishnu is in this pillar, let him come. Hiranyakashipu had a very strong body. His body was like diamond, it is said. Even Indra's thunderbolt could not do anything to his body. So with such powerful body, while he was coming down his throne, holding a sword in one hand, with the other hand, he punched the pillar. At that time, there was a great sound produced from that pillar. And that sound was so great, it seemed to break the outer layer of the universe. All the personalities in the various planets like Brahmaji and the rishis and sages who were peacefully absorbed in their meditation in their own planets, when they heard this sound, they thought it was the time for devastation. Brahmaji is thinking, he's 50 years old now. So he's thinking, there is still some time left for devastation. This is not the time for devastation. Only 50 years have passed. There's another 50 years remaining. And when Hiranyakashipu heard the sound, he also didn't understand where it was coming from. He thought maybe it is coming from somewhere in his court, in his assembly. And he tried to find out where the sound was coming from, the source of that sound. And he also came to the conclusion that it was coming from the pillar. At that time, the Supreme Lord, Lord Narasimhadev, who is half man and half lion, he appeared from that pillar. The Lord in this form is not visible to anyone just like that. However, he appeared to make his devotees' words true and to protect his devotee. Who is his devotee whose words he wanted to make true? Prahlad Maharaj himself told Hiranyakashipu, when Hiranyakashipu asked, is your Vishnu in this pillar? He said, yes, he is seen in this pillar. So the Lord wanted to prove that, yes, he was in that pillar. He wanted to make Prahlad Maharaj's words true. Also, Hiranyakashipu had asked Brahmaji that I should not be killed by any living being created by you. Hiranyakashipu is also, after all, the Lord's devotee as Vijay. So Hiranyakashipu's words are also coming true. He won't be killed by any creature created by Brahmaji. There is no, in the 804,000 species, there is no form of half man and half lion. So Hiranyakashipu's words are also coming true. To make his words true, the Lord appeared. Narad Muni, if you remember, told Indra when he was taking away Kayadu, he said, this child, this baby in Kayadu's womb cannot be killed by anyone. To make Narad Muni's words true, because Hiranyakashipu was going to kill, he took the sword to go and cut off Prahlad's head. To make Narad Muni's words true that Prahlad cannot be killed by anyone, the Lord appeared. Also, when Hiranyakashipu tried to kill Prahlad in different ways, what did he feel when he failed and he was not able to kill? What did he say? What did he think? I think this, because he seems to be immortal. I'm not able to kill him. And I have enmity with him. So I think in future, he will be the cause of my death. So and at that time, when he thought like that, Brahmaji said, so be it, tathastu. So to make Brahmaji's words true, also, the Lord appeared. When Lord Nrsingadev appeared, how did Hiranyakashipu see him? How did the Lord appear to Hiranyakashipu? Lord Narasimhadev appeared from the middle of the pillar after making that terrible sound. When Hiranyakashipu saw this form, he was amazed and he started to make sense of what he was seeing. He was thinking, what is this? I just punched this pillar and out came this form. Why has it appeared? It is wonderful. It is neither human nor an animal. Mrigendra Rupam, that means Narahari. Hiranyakashipu is saying, this is Narahari. Is this another form of Hari? That means Lord Vishnu. Because Hari is Mayavi. He is cunning. But here Mayavi means, Goddess Saraswati will tell us, he is the possessor of Mayas. That means it is very difficult to understand his activities. He is inconceivable. Now, Lord Nrsingadev's form is described as seen by Hiranyakashipu. Bhayanakam. By seeing that form, Hiranyakashipu got fear in his heart. Pratapta Chamikara Chandalochanam. His eyes were golden and ferocious. Spurat Sata Kesara Jumbitananam. Because of the mane on his head, his face appeared to be expanded. It looked big because of the mane. Karala Damstram. His teeth were very sharp and fearful to look at. His tongue was sharp. It was big, and at the tip, it was sharp like a sword. And his eyebrows were raised, causing fear to the onlookers. His ears were sharp and pointed upwards. That means you must have seen, right, when cats, right, when they are ready to pounce on you, their ears become sharp, or lion. So he's in a fighting mode now. So his ears were pointed upwards. His mouth was open and it looked like a cave in the mountain. Dark and deep. His nostrils also looked like caves. Hanubheda Bhishanam. Hanu means jaws. You see, our jaws are covered by cheeks. But the Lord didn't have this. His jaws went all the way to his ears. They were open. That means jaws are separated. Hanubheda Bhishanam, and very fierce. His body was huge, touching the sky. His neck was short and thick. His chest was broad. His waist was thin. And his entire body was covered by hair that was white like the moon or moonshine. His arms appeared like thousands of soldiers. So it's like, if you may have seen in children's drawing books, Nrsingadev's appeared like he had so many arms, thousands of arms. So his arms were like thousands of soldiers. You see, Lord Nrsingadev didn't use any weapons when he fought with Hiranyakashipu because that was the condition. Hiranyakashipu, in his benedictions, he shouldn't be defeated in any battle and no weapons could kill him. So Lord Nrsingadev did not use any weapons against Hiranyakashipu. His arms and nails were his soldiers. Hiranyakashipu is seeing this form of the Lord. This form is impossible to defeat because this form had defeated so many Daityas and Danavas in the past by using weapons like Shankha, Chakra, Gada, Padma. That means this is Lord Vishnu. Hiranyakashipu, while looking at the Lord, is calculating, trying to estimate the power of his opponent. He looked at all the features of Lord Nrsingadev. What is his strength? How to attack? Can I defeat him or not? So this was the thought process. And he also suspected, maybe this is the end of my life. But immediately, his ego came up. And he became proud of his own strength. He thought, what can this form do to me? You see, the Lord wanted this because he wanted to enjoy Virya Rasa. So if the enemy didn't think like that, how would he enjoy that fight? So thinking like this, Hiranyakashipu put away his sword. Remember, he was carrying a sword. And now he picked up a club, a mace. He looked like an elephant, ready to fight with a lion. He made a big sound and attacked Lord Nrsingadev. When he attacked Lord Nrsingadev, he appeared like a small insect entering a big fire. Lord Nrsingadev's effulgence was like a fire. And Hiranyakashipu appeared like a fly that just disappeared in that effulgence. He became invisible. Hiranyakashipu actually wanted to kill Prahlad Maharaj, but now he forgot about killing Prahlad Maharaj. He was all focused on killing Narasimhadev. He charged with his club. As soon as Hiranyakashipu came, Nrsingadev caught him in his hands. The way Garuda catches a snake. Very easily. However, being very powerful, Hiranyakashipu wiggled in the hands of Nrsingadev and released himself from the hands. It happens like this. Sometimes if the snake is very powerful, it can release itself from the clutches of an eagle. You see, the demigods were watching this fight. They were also watching this fight. When they saw that Hiranyakashipu escaped the hands of Nishingadev, they were excited until then. When the Lord caught Hiranyakashipu, they were very happy that now Hiranyakashipu would be killed. But on seeing that Hiranyakashipu released himself, and after releasing himself, he glared at the demigods. They became so fearful that they hid themselves behind clouds. He had already stolen their residences. He had conquered means they didn't even have to fight. He just took over their residence. And now if he won the battle against the Lord, he would definitely take their lives also. Until now, they were cheering Lord Nishingadev. So, if he won the battle against Nishingadev, he would certainly kill the demigod. So that's why they became fearful. They lost all confidence. And they were saying, Asadu, that means terrible, terrible. And they went and hid behind clouds. This also shows us what kind of faith the demigods have, as opposed to the faith that Prahlad Maharaj had in the Supreme Lord. And Hiranyakashipu was very happy. Now he got confidence in himself. And he started to undermine the strength of Nishingadev because he was able to release himself. He thought the Lord is, Lord Nishingadev is not after all so powerful. So he thought, now in my next shot, I'm going to finish him. So he took up a sword and a shield to cut off the Lord's head. And he was free from all fatigue. He conquered fatigue. And very swiftly, he started moving his sword and holding his shield. And he was moving towards the Lord without leaving any gaps, both up and down, from all sides. Because once he was caught by the Lord, he didn't want to be caught by the Lord again. So he was very, very agile and dexterous. When he reached the Lord, when he came very close to Lord Nishingadev, the Lord did something. He laughed loudly, making a big noise, big sound. Unable to bear that sound, Hiranyakashipu closed his eyes for a moment. Immediately, Nishingadev caught him again. Hiranyakashipu's skin was so hard that even Indra's thunderbolt couldn't even make a scratch on his skin. That's how thick and strong it was. The Lord caught such Hiranyakashipu as if a snake catches a mouse. Once a mouse goes into the mouth of a snake, it never escapes. So all this was going on near the pillar. The Lord brought Hiranyakashipu, catching him, to the entrance, to the doorstep. And he sat on the threshold, which was neither inside nor outside, and placed him on his lap. And he tore that thick skin of Hiranyakashipu just with his nails. And that too very playfully, without any effort on his part. And Hiranyakashipu is finished. After killing Hiranyakashipu, the Lord was still very angry. Nobody could even look at him. He was so angry. Why was the Lord angry? Because this demon had tortured his devotee Prahlad in so many ways. He insulted him, spoke harsh words, and also he had destroyed dharma in society. So because of all this, the Lord was still very angry with Hiranyakashipu, even though he was dead.
Oh.
All the demigods were standing there.
Oh.
His mouth was open. Lord Nrsingadev's mouth was open. His face was expanded. And with his tongue, he was licking the edges of his mouth. His jaws were open. The Lord tore open Hiranyakashipu's stomach. And when he did that, drops of blood sprinkled onto his mane, his white, silvery white mane. And this looked very beautiful. There were also drops of blood on his face. The Lord took out the intestines of Hiranyakashipu and wore them around his neck as a garland. He looked like a lion that had just fought and killed an elephant.
Oh.
When the Lord opened the chest of Hiranyakashipu, he looked inside and he found the heart of Hiranyakashipu. The Lord looked, as if he was searching in the heart. He looked inside the heart with his fierce, glowing eyes. Heart is in the shape of a lotus. The Lord is thinking, looking at the heart, is this my residence? Because the Lord stays in the heart as Paramatma. Is this my residence? What did this Hiranyakashipu do to my residence? I should be sitting here. Instead, there is lust, anger, greed, illusion, all these 6 enemies sitting. Why am I not here? Disgusted, he just threw the body aside. The supporters of Hiranyakashipu, his soldiers, army, they attacked Lord Nrsingadev in hundreds of thousands with their upraised weapons. The Lord killed all of them with just his hands and nails, no weapons. After all the soldiers were killed, the Lord looked at, one second.
Okay. Somebody's to mute.
Okay, yeah, I couldn't figure out who.
I took care of it.
Okay, thank you. The Lord raised his head and looked up. So when he looked up like this, the mane on his head touched the cloud. It just scattered the clouds in the sky. You see, the Lord is still angry. He's breathing heavily. By his heavy breaths, the oceans appeared to shrink. And all the elephants in the entire universe began to cry. And because of his weight, the earth was pushed down. And all the demigods were full of fear. All the directions lost luster, and everything became dark. Now the Lord walked back to the throne of Hiranyakashipu. He was sitting at the entrance. He walked back to the throne and sat on it. There's a wonderful explanation here by Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. That throne belonged to a demon. It was used by him, and it was not even offered to the Lord. Still, the Lord went and sat on it. Why did the Lord went and sit on the throne? The Lord is showing Rajaniti. What is Rajaniti? When a king defeats another king, he occupies his throne. This is Rajaniti, right? This is how the kings, it's their pride. We see in Mahabharata also. After defeating the enemy, that night is spent in the enemy camp. So the Lord is demonstrating, he's announcing his victory over Hiranyakashipu. So he went and sat on his throne. But also, Hiranyakashipu is now his enemy, but actually, he is his devotee, Vijaya. Being cursed by the Kumaras, now he has become an Asura. And that curse was also because of the Lord's will. So the Lord has this abhimana. Abhimana means this possessiveness for his devotees. He feels that he is mine. This person is mine. This devotee is mine. So with that, the Lord went and sat on his servant's throne. We see that generally rishis and sages, they invite the Lord, offering him a sitting place, purify it with mantras, and they directly offer it and invite him. They beg him to please come and sit there. But still the Lord does not come and sit there directly. In case of his devotee, even though the devotee is cursed, he is an asura in an asura body. And even though the seat is used, it's not first hand, it's used. And it is not purified. And it is not even offered. It's not that somebody is telling Nrsimhadev, please come and take the seat. Still, the Lord thinks, this is my servant's seat. Never mind, even if he has not offered me, even if it is used, I take it because it is my servant's. This is the love of the Lord for his devotee. This is the great fortune available only to the devotees of the Lord. It's not available even to the great learned scholars who are not devotees. He's showing the entire world how he reciprocates with his devotees. This is Bhakti Tattva. So he sat on the throne. His eyes are full of anger still. So nobody dared to come near him to worship him. Nobody worshipped him. Normally, when the Lord kills a demon, the demigods shower flowers immediately. This time, they didn't even shower flowers. That was also delayed because they were all fearful. They didn't know what would happen. He looked so angry. The news spread throughout the universe that this Mastaka Jwaram means head fever, you can say headache, of the universe is now removed. That means Hiranyakashipu is called the headache of the universe. He is now removed. Everyone became happy, and all the demigoddesses then showered flowers. That means it was delayed. It didn't happen immediately. Still, nobody came close to the Lord to worship him. They stood at a distance, not very close. And many demigods came in their airplanes, stationed in the sky. They were playing musical instruments. Gandharvas were singing. Apsaras were dancing. Then Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva, Indra, Pitaras, Rishis, Siddhas, Vidyadharas, Yakshas, Kimpurushas, Kinnaras, Vetalas, Manus, Prajapatis, Gandharvas, Charanas, and the Vishnudutas. All these various groups, they came in front of Nrsimhadev like this, with palms folded above their heads, and began to glorify the Lord, standing at a distance. So I will end there, because part 2 is prayers by the demigods and then prayers by Prahlad Maharaj. That is later today. At 11 o'clock, I'll be speaking on that on Bhakti Sangha channel. But I'll stop here today. Thank you all so much for your kind attention. It's late already, but does anyone have any questions?
No question, Mataji. Just great class. Hare Krishna. Happy Narasimha Chaturdashi to everybody.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare
Thank
Krishna.
you.
Thank you, Mother Archana Bhakti, for taking us through this past time. It's always blissful to hear, especially on this day. We're always
Thank you.
reminded of the Lord's protection, and our goal of life is to pursue unalloyed devotion to the Supreme Lord. Thank you. It was really sweet.
Hare Krishna. Thank
Hare
you.
Krishna.
So shall we end here? Thank you all so much. Wish you all a happy Narasimha Chaturdasi. ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय, श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय, समवेत गौर भक्तवृंद की जय। वांछा कल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्यैव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमः। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव की जय।
जय।
Hare Krishna.